Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those that might be new to the YouTube channel, we talk about the power rate offense that we run here at Northwood High School that I've been running now at a couple of the schools that I've been at as the head coach. We also talk about the air raid. We'll talk about anything offensive philosophy, offensive football, and also just talking about the coaching profession in general. So if this is your first time, I hope you enjoy. Please subscribe and like and take a look at the other videos. If you are a returner to the channel, if you haven't checked out all the videos, please do so. Please start sharing my page. Just doing this is, here we are in the clinic season and just trying to grow as a coach, but also trying to give back and just talk a little bit of football. So today we're going to talk about mesh, which is my favorite play. Love running this when I was a player, love running as an assistant coach, love running as a head coach. It's pretty much the OG if you talk about the air raid. It's one of the first ones that we install, and it's one that we spend a lot of time on because it's one of those passing concepts that we believe that no matter what defense coverage is playing, that we can beat it. So first thing I want to talk about is how we utilize it. So if you take a look here, we went 28 of 46. So that means that we ran about 4 times a game. We were really big with our quick game, and we had our quarterback get injured, so we had some things that at the beginning of the year we didn't run it very well. Mesh is a very expensive play to run and to install and to get people to understand, especially when you're coming from where the school was a power eye, flex bone, and had not been throwing the ball around. So it was pretty expensive to teach and to install. So I will give you that warning about it, is that it's going to be a play that you can get a lot of mileage in it, but you have to put a lot of time invested at the beginning to reap the rewards of what mesh can do. But as you can see, we're 28, 46, 61%. That's pretty good completion percentage. And then what I like about it is our explosives, where 20 plus, 13 of the 28, almost 50% of the time it hit for an explosive over 20 yards. And then a fourth of the time were for touchdowns, and then we threw for 620 yards and 13.5 yards per play. So what we'll do today is I'll draw it up, how we would install it, the most basic version of mesh. And then we'll talk about a couple of wrinkles off of it. We'll show you some film on getting it to all your different receivers. And then we'll even talk about a couple of drills that you can do to get better at it. All right, so that's our introduction of mesh. Let's hop into the lab and let's get to it. So let's get started. So I got it pulled up in Huddle. All right, I'm going to show you how we install it, talk through what everybody's assignment is, and give you a little bit of the progression as well. So the first thing we do is talking to our outside receivers. Okay, so our X and our Z, all right, their rule, okay, is an 8 to 10 yard deep out. So you're gonna get to 8, roll into your 10, and then be looking for the ball. That's on both sides. So for our quarterback, that's read number 1. Some people would talk about it and they'll call it your peak. So that's the first read for the quarterback, and he's gonna read leverage. So let's say that this cornerback is a little bit inside and also playing up top or playing within about 5 yards of the receiver. And then our other corner, let's just keep him right there, and he's playing off. So what we would tell our quarterback is, hey, let's read the Z side, our right side, and so we'll make that our concept side. To finish our concept side, especially in the air raid and how we do it in the power raid, because our passing progression and our passing tendencies are the same as it would be in air raid. We would cap this by making the triangle read. We would have our running back run a swing. Okay, so then what would be the number 3? Well, that's where the mesh and that's where the magic happens. That's why we call it. A lot of people think that because mesh is the play name, that's the first read. It's actually not. I think when air raid first started, it was a corner route. Well, I really feel like especially in our program, and I've gotten used to, is that 8 to 10 yard out. The quarterbacks love it. It's a very safe throw for us. So now we'll kind of get into the rules, how we do it. And look, everybody does it different. You have to find what works best within the mesh, teachings of how and who sets the mesh, how to set the mesh, all that. So for us, okay, what we'll normally get in this look, just so everybody, we set up this right, is they're going to take a look at our H-back, because he's got a guy, he's the one that's in all the news reports and all that. So what we do is we teach it from the right side. Okay, so for our Y, he is setting it at 5 yards or in front of the linebackers. Okay, so if the linebackers are lined up at 4, then we'll set it at 4. Okay, so it's whatever is the closest, all right, or the shortest distance. Okay, so then our rule then for the H is that he's getting across at 5.5, 6, okay, and meshing. So kind of going into that is, I believe what we do really well is I stopped doing a vertical to then going diagonal. So we kind of get diagonal first, a 45 cut, all right, so that we have our eyes, when we're in there making that cut, they have their eyes at the linebackers, because that's going to help with them seeing whether it's man or whether it's zone and where to sit. Okay, we communicate our guys either sit, 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 or go, 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 and that's how they communicate with each other, because they're watching each other's linebackers from the opposite side, trying to see what's going on. Okay, so from the right side, 5 yards, okay, 5.5, 6 yards. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get our shoulders, okay. You know, a lot of people talk about the hands clapping, so that's kind of what we do, and we talk about how our shoulder pads should rub each other, okay. We talk about stepping on the linebacker's toes. What was happening before, and you'll see in our film, is that he does a great job, all right, and he will get to his point of he's in front of the linebackers, perfect. What was happening a little bit was our H-back was going behind the linebackers, and there was about a 3 or 4 yard difference in the mesh, so it really didn't look like a very good mesh, and it wasn't picking people off and doing what we needed it to do with a tight rub. So we had to fix that, and we got really good at that. But at first it was just like, oh, I just need to get open. They had to understand that everybody has a role and an assignment to do when it comes to mesh. So we got better at that. And one other thing that will happen, because mesh is an expensive play. Anybody that tells you it's not, it's a very expensive play. We're coming from that power eye, flex bone. So to teach them the rules and to get really good at it, you have to spend a lot of time. That's, we'll talk about the drill that you'll need to spend about 10, 15 minutes with, for the quarterbacks to understand the read, receivers to learn how to sit, how to go. It is a very expensive pass play, but you can get so much mileage out of it, and it can be a big time play. So one big other problem that you might have is these guys don't want to get collisioned. Okay, the receivers, these could be two skinny guys, two very fast guys that don't want a lot of contact. Well, you got to tell them they got to keep going. All right, they have to find a way to resist getting hit. Okay, so then how we read this is we would go 1 to 2 to 3. All right, so we actually read the mesh last, and then it would go 1, 2, 3, and then obviously 4. Okay, you would never take off of this and go to that. All right, once this is dead, all right, for the pre-snap, you can't just turn your head back over to here. We'll look, and that's boom. You got to take a look. That's the side, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that's where the magic happens, is right in there. All right, and then what we'll do, okay, is if they are bailing out, okay, and we'll have a lot of teams do that, so they'll bail out. What we are then teaching them is once they cross center, across that mesh, they can sit. All right, so sit and find space. All right, so that's our rules with that. Now, let's say that we have these linebackers are chasing, so they're chasing with him, and he's chasing with him. What we'll actually do, okay, is we tell them, hey, be an athlete, all right, and then find space, and you'll see them expand up, especially if it's playing man. So those two will communicate, and they'll say, sit, 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 or go, go, go. And so that's pretty much where we go with when it comes into our mesh. That's our most basic version. We'll get back on here, and we'll show you one of our favorite little wrinkles off of it, and then also a little red zone adjustment. All right, so there is mesh, okay? And so then when we come back into it, we'll show you a wrinkle. But here we go, we're gonna go into all right, and I wanna show how we get everybody involved. So the first couple examples, I think 3 clips, we're gonna show you how we get our outsides involved. Okay, so right here, he should get his 8 to 10, 8 to 10. And now we actually have him here, and you'll see sometimes we had him stay in, especially if we saw a lot of blitz. All right, so then he'll get across, and he'll get across. So let's take this in live. So Carson saw, okay, they were focused on number 19 here, on Gus. So now look at this, all this green space, and just perfect. We work on this timing throw all the time. There it is, 8 to 10, and now you have one-on-one to make them have to tackle you. All right, so there's that. Okay, so now let's break down the rest of it. okay? So we kept them in. All right, and this was only our third game, so we got a lot better at it over the year. But take a look at here in the mesh. This is what I was talking about, where some of them might not want to deal with any contact. You've got to do a better job. All right, and we do. You got to run through there, because if he was running full speed, I know he threw it already. He was running full speed. Gus right there, number 19, would be wide open. All right, so we had to do a better job of that, but we still made a great catch and throw. You got to be happy about that. Okay, so on to the next clip. Okay, so this is our last game of the regular season, second to last of the entire season. And you start seeing, you know, I can't make this up. You know, we have a safety sitting here at 15 plus yards all the way back. All right, another one is 10 yards off. All right, and corners are playing outside leverage 10 yards off. All right, so here we go again. And we kept them in because earlier we were seeing a bunch of pressure, and we felt very good that our outsides could win this, and then our two slots would win on the mesh. So right here, Grayson, our backup quarterback, makes a very good throw. He reads the hips, very stiff hips. Zay wins on that route. There it is. All right, and now you have to win by tackling. All right, so now let's go take a look on the other side. And I believe our receiver was open too as well. Now what I want you to take a look at is like right here. So imagine he doesn't think that he can win this route. This is where having that running back goes out. So imagine if he's running a swing right there. Look at all this open area, and now you'd have him be able to block for him. All right, so that's what would have been great if you had that swing come out. But look at that throw. All right, great timing. And once again, we'll go to that and we'll show you the drill that we do. All right, now let's take a look at our mesh. Coming through here, he gets vertical, which is what slows it down. But if you take a look, I would put money on our guy right here is going to outrun this kid. Because take a look at where the leverage already, and it would have been wide open sitting there. All right, so I think that we did really well with that one. Okay. Now, here's an example of a really athletic defense. Okay, and our quarterback had gotten hurt. We're driving to keep this a tight game. They know that we're passing, but I want to show you this receiver right here joined us probably into the second or third week of the season. All right, he transferred in, basketball player, and watch how quickly he learned this route. Great timing. If you work on this 10, 15 minutes every week, you're going to get really good at this concept, but you have to practice it. So watch, take a look at these reps. All right. And boom, right outside there. Look at the cut. Okay, maybe was probably a little bit short, but he wins the route. There it is. Nice ball. And there we are picking up a first down. Okay, that's what mesh can do. I know everybody's like, oh, mesh, you know, mesh is mesh. Mesh can have so many different parts added to it. You know, you have the mesh rail, okay, with the OTB, the hunt route. You can throw digs on there. You'll see us when I talk about do the post wheel. You can put sail, or, you know, a flood as a part of it. You could throw a wide cross, you can throw a corner. There's all kinds of things that you can do. But mesh is definitely usually the, you know, second or even the third read, okay, of the progression. But this is great because look at this. Your first read and just catch and throw, and it's super easy. All right, now this was our second to last game of the regular season. All right, and our mesh, so right here, they're expanding. And what would have happened is, look at that window right there. We would have had a good one, but the timing just worked out. And you can see, look at what this does with that swing right there. Because he's going to go play that swing. Ashton would end up being right there for a nice open area. All right, so nice pitch and catch there. Okay. So now we're going to move on. All right, and now you're going to see our two slots work. Okay. This is our playoff game. This is us striving to keep it alive, and we actually score on this play to take the lead. Okay, so I just want to show you we've been hitting mesh. All right, this was one of our best games with it. Of course, the last game of the season, but now we can build off of that. So here we are, we're in spread tight. One rule of thumb is you probably want your meshers to know that they got to be within 3 to 5 yards off the tackle so they can happen fast. All right, and then obviously if you're throwing that out breaking route, you got to tell them to cut down their splits. All right, so here we go. Well, let's keep an eye on our 2 slots. Sorry for the shaky film. You know, it's a big time of the game. It was windy, so a lot going on. But if you take a look, okay, they do a great job meshing. All right, and Zay, this is his first time running mesh in a game. All right, he had been an outside. You've already seen him being an outside receiver. So this is his first time running the slot, and they do a pretty good job here. All right, quarterback picks up on what they're doing. Look at that pocket, and once they pick each other off, look, and there he is. Zay's wide open, because that's what mesh does. It causes chaos, and we saw this a lot where people were trying to take the middle of the field away from us. So as soon as you get out to that hash area, there's nobody there. And so what happens is with this out route as well, you're now taking him out of the picture for when he gets there. And now let's go on the other side. And because we're running that out route and that swing, you take those people out. And guess what? Gus would have been wide open right here as well. But he throws it to Zay, and now you're one-on-one. Look at that. Look at all of that area. And now it's one-on-one, gone. All right, so that's a way to put your athlete, get your athletes the ball out in space. So now here's the second play. This was the build-up right before it, okay? Now this isn't spread tight. We're just in our normal spread. All right, so we're over into the hash, so we know that this will be a very quick out route, and then this would be a very long throw, okay? But we're trying to do our part of making sure that they expand out so we can hit the mesh. We have the running back stay in because they have been showing blitz. All right, matter of fact, they're bringing 5 here. And let's take a look at this mesh. And right there, we set it perfectly. And this wouldn't have been a bad throw either right here or right there. We had them both. But we had seen that they were expanding out. And look at that mesh happen right there in the middle of the field. Got picked off. And then Gus goes for a ride. So let's go take a look at that again. And right here, I don't think Carson could have been wrong with either of the outs. Right there, that still frame. Beautiful, would have been beautiful. Okay, but he wants to stay here in the mesh. And look at that. And now you're talking about a 21-yard gain. All right. Now, let's go back to even later in the game. Okay, and now what are you seeing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys back here, and they're just dropping it out. I mean, we were still able to run. Okay, but I want to show you this because you can still complete mesh with 7 guys dropping out. So here it is. Probably could have even taken this swing right there. Look at all that open area. Out route would have been open. And there it is. Runs on his toes. So that probably should have been a little bit tighter right here. So the mesh could have been a little bit better, but now you got an athlete out in space, make people miss, get out of bounds. There you go. All right, so those are examples of 3 examples of hitting the outsides, 3 examples of hitting the cross. All right, the meshers. All right, now before we get into it, let's draw this up. So this is our way of kind of going into trips and having a wrinkle and a shot play all in one off of a play that we run a lot. So we go mesh post wheel, okay? And so now let's go straight into it. What will have to happen, all right, to make this adjustment, he's got to cut his split down because he knows the rules. If you are part of the mesh, you got to be within 5 yards, all right? Well, and then he also knows, well, I'm not setting it, so now all I got to do is follow H. Okay, so H is boom, all right? And then he's at 6, getting across, and now it's a mesh double wheel. Okay, so our running back will go out a little bit more. He'll run this like he's running a swing and then cut it up the sideline. All right, and then what our Y does for the other wheel is we run a lot of arrow, and then he'll go down the sideline. So it'll be arrow into the wheel. And then our Z is a 10-yard post staying on that hash. So why is this a great one? Okay, because it's super easy still what our read is. We actually read him as number 1, all right? And then we come back to our 2 to 3, all right? Then If we don't like that, if we see that they have numbers, we'll come back here and guess what we have? We have 1 to 2 to 3. All right. And a lot of situations why we love this right here is we'll face teams like you saw it on the one film. They're 20 yards off. Well, if they're bailing at 20 yards, look at this window you would have to hit that post and then stride. All right. And if people are bailing, you put that corner in conflict, then you have that wheel. So that's our big wrinkle in our shot play that we like off of mesh, is we'll go mesh post wheel. I want to show you a couple examples. We love it, especially down in the red zone too, but we also love it in the open part of the field. All right, so let's cancel, and then I'll have one more with that, but here's the film of it. Okay, so what we have, all right, is our mesh post wheel. So he's got it within his 5. He's got the over. He's setting it. All right. And then we have the swing to wheel, post, and the arrow to wheel. And the running back is actually who we hit. So what we see here is there's nobody in this area. All right. Which is where we like to hit our wheel route from the running back. All right. And over here, they have the 3/3, okay, with another safety in the middle of the field. So we kind of consider that a little bit dead, and so that was probably a pre-snap by Carson, our quarterback, was at 3/3. All right, and we know that we're running our mesh in here. Well, we got one that we know we're about to have a 2-on-1. So let's take a look at this. As we see this, okay, as we expand, he's going with him. We saw that a lot. Is when we went with our backside, a lot of people would collision and ride in there with them. We had a lot of swings, a lot of wheels. And now that what they're trying to do here is playing a little bit of man with he's got the running back. Well, I like a running back on a linebacker any day. And now you almost have kind of a rub here and down the sideline. All right, so going back to this. We saw this because we're reading it, and there's nobody in this area. So it's like, all right, well, let's take a shot. And there it is. Nice, easy throw and catch. All right, now let's take a look at the rest of it. Our mesh looks good. He's setting over and then going over the top, running full speed. And I wouldn't even have been mad here if right here we hit Zay. There's, about 5 yards of space right there. But we take the shot. They have that pretty well taken care of, and big time play. All right, can't ask for anything more than that. All right, now, down here in the red zone, what we already have said is, so it's a 10-yard post, right? Well, we already tell them that's pretty much what you need to do. So 10-yard post, so you stay with your 10 yards. Get here, and then cut to the hash. All right, you'll have all that area. And then what's great about down in here is now if they're not playing man, this route right here is the next one that would probably be open, because we're running that like arrow to the back of the end zone with that arrow to the wheel. All right, then you have your meshers. He's going over top, he's going underneath, and then you have the wheel. All right, so he's taking a look here, and boom, automatically does not like the running back, so he turns his head to the other side. Now we see that we probably would have had this mesh right there if they would have settled down. Okay, so right there we had it, but he gets flushed out of the pocket, and take a look at this great route. Boom, gets on that, and then right there, I would love to have had a lot more on this ball. But he's on the run. I'm trying to make a play as a quarterback, and he could have thrown it a little bit earlier. Look at that space. If you have a guy that can run a good slant post with that cut, there it is. And now there's that route. If they're not playing man, okay, if there's any miscommunication, if he thinks that that's just going to be an arrow route and he gave up on it, now take a look at this. We would have had him as well here back in the end zone. So mesh post wheel is a very beautiful play anywhere on the field, just like, mesh. All right, the OG, and then the now what is going to be the OG is coming up with the mesh traffic. But down there in the red zone, mesh post wheel works very well. All right. Now let's get into what has been the play of 2024. And I've already done a video on it. All right, now I explain it. So we run it out of spread. All right, but you can run it out of trips. So if people are playing man, all right, and then usually what I said, like I said, was this is what we would get. What you can run is, it's pretty much when you talk about the traffic, it is talking about this running back getting through here and getting open off of that mesh. So what we had him do was he was running to the corner, all right, and then we had our meshers. And one thing that we noticed about this team was as soon as they saw this guy clear, there was nobody there. So we had our running back act like he was blocking, and then arrowed out to here. And you'll see that our quarterback waited for it and hits him right here. All right, so we were told boom, boom. They're running to the back of the end zone. So that should clear out that area. And now you have him coming through here. All right, so now you have nobody out there in the flats. All right, so let's take a look at it. So you'll see him go to the corner, and meshers, and then the running back pauses, kind of very close. And then right there, there's nobody there in the flats because they're playing man, and he gets through there. So you see we go to the back corner. This linebacker right here sees him mesh, sees him coming there, so he stops in the tracks. And there you have it. All right, it's beautiful mesh traffic, and then you can run it out a bunch. You can run it a bunch of different ways, but it is pretty much let those guys create a bunch of chaos and then leak your running back out there. All right, so for the last part, what I want to do is to explain a drill that is going to help you get better at mesh. And you've got to just keep being fine with reps, being fine with boredom. That's the only way you get better at mesh. So it's a drill. You don't even have to worry about the line. All right. They're within 5 yards. Okay, and now the next one is you'll have coaches. All right, and now what you're doing is you're training their eyes, a bunch of reps so that they know what to do and they're working their communication. Okay, so he's setting it, and he's over top. Here's where you need to do it as coaches. The first one is you're just sitting there. All right, you're sitting there, they're reading that, you might buzz your feet, all that stuff as having two coaches, and then you also, then imagine this is also the quarterback. So you got two quarterbacks throwing this. You got coaches just sitting there buzzing their feet. Well, their rule, which you want to make sure that they're realizing, they're communicating and go, 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 go. All right, so they know that now they are going to continue to go. The rule is that they cannot sit down until out of that first window past the mesh. So if they realize and they have their eyes up that those guys stayed there, there's nobody in this area, then he can sit. He can sit. All right, if they realize that. But we tell them not to run into any problems. Now, what problems could there be? Well, remember, we're running the 10-yard out. So that corner is over there, but now we have a swing to either one of the ways. So they have to use their eyes to be able to see where the linebackers are. But they can sit in that first window past the mesh. And then that's why we work our settle neutral, which is in the stick video. All right, so there's that one. Okay, the next thing that they need to learn how to do, backers just dropping out. Okay, well then now communicate, sit, 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 sit. Okay, and now as soon as they mesh and they see this, stop in your tracks to replace where they should be and where there's nobody there. There it is. So now you have an answer for everything that the defense is doing. All right, just what mesh is all about. If their corners are bailing out, you have those outs. If there's nobody in the flats, you hit the running back. If the linebackers are dropping out and they're giving you a drop 8, well then look at that. There you are, you're sitting. All right, so this drill, you continue to work that. Now, one last one that you got to work on. All right. Now, let's say that they're playing man. Let's say that he is trailing through the back of H. He's trailing through the back of Y. This is where you just have them communicate, and they're saying, go, go, go. And now they're winning. All right. But now here's the next part to it. Especially like if his mesh and everything's cleared out. If this guy's back trailing, all right, where can he win? He can turn it on up to there. Same with him. He can turn it up to him if this linebacker is trailing in the back. So we give him that freedom. And you'll get good at this once you have a bunch of different reps. But I've told you this before, okay? Mesh is an expensive play. It's a beautiful play. Everybody loves it. A lot of people run a bunch of variations of it. But you can only get really good at it in games with live reps and lots of reps. We run this every Wednesday when we run mesh and shallow cross, all right, because it helps our quarterbacks track across the field, be ready for them to sit and throw. But it's also very big, all right, because those receivers have to communicate with their mesh, and they've got to get really good at learning when to sit and see in the grass. And that's why we do this diagonal and not getting vertical first, because if you get vertical first, your eyes aren't paying attention, all right? Or you start just fading off and you're not getting to the mesh. We want this mesh to happen quick for our offense line because we always want to make it easier on them, all right? So that's about mesh, all right? It's the OG, all right, of the air raid. Power raid, I love it. It was our most thrown drop back, all right, and second most in our entire offense, all right? Once again, I want to say thank you to all those that have been following me, subscribing to me. Please add me on X at MJ3480, all right? Follow me, message me if you ever have questions, all right? I'm here to give back any knowledge that I have, which isn't as much as some of you guys, but I want to help out. All right, it's clinic season. This is when we all should be getting better. I'm very excited. You know, Friday we have our playbook clinic down in Charlotte, so I'll be traveling down there. I have a nice hour-and-a-half presentation on the power rate and the offense we run at Northwood. Very excited for that. A lot of good things are happening. But to anybody that's new, please share this, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, tell everybody about it. Okay, let's continue to make this coaching brotherhood and expand on that. That's what this is all about. I'm going to tell you this, I'm not a know-it-all, but you know, I do have some knowledge I'd love to share. I like talking ball. Always hit me up. But thank you for watching the video on mesh. Like I said, hit me up if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great night.